Greetings from Snake Mountain Boatworks on Sunday, January 26, 2020. Our 1956 17-foot Chris Craft Special Sportsman's bottom has passed another milestone. By trading off overnight and yesterday afternoon, we were able to apply all 5 coats of the Intellux 2000E barrier coat. We gave it 9 hours cure time. It only requires 5. And now it's time to begin applying the Pettit Old Salem hard racing copper bronze enamel. Now, there are a couple things about this paint. One, as far as I've been able to discover, it's available only in quartz. But I think that is probably related to the fact that when you open a new can, you'll find all of the copper at the bottom of the can in a big gooey mess. Kind of looks like gobs of oatmeal. So, to prepare a can for actually painting, I put it in the shaker for 15 minutes, remove it from the shaker, open the can, and stir from the bottom up, breaking up all the globs of the copper. Close the can and put it back on the shaker for 15 minutes. Now, unlike the 2000E, the cure time here is 16 hours at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't cheat. You'll find the schedule right on the side of the can. Cheat at your peril. This is not something, you've spent so much money, so much time getting to this final lap in the true 5200 bottom process. This is not the time to scrimp on preparation. Remember, preparation's 90% of the job. Prepare well and execution is all that much easier. I am using a 9-inch yellow foamy roller cover. I'm watching the seams, but again, unlike the 2000E, this bottom paint is much less viscous, so it tends to flow into the declivities in the seams. But where I don't reach them, there's the ever-present foamy doing its job for me. And then I can go back over, if I can reach, and clean this up. Your first coat, especially in our case where our 5th coat of 2000E ended up with white. White shows through rather aggressively. You're not going to get perfect coverage. This is a base coat. We'll apply 3 of these. I'm guessing it will take me at least a quart per coat, but I'll know better in an hour or so once I get further along the way. So I tend to apply it across the grain, across the surface. There's not really any science there, it's just that I find it easier to apply the paint initially across the grain and then finish it out with strokes along the grain. Then of course, the keel gets progressively further and further away from you. And as I go a little bit further, I'll remember, Michael, do the keel first so that you don't end up with a copper bronze t-shirt. I have done that to t-shirts, but of course it leaks right through and you end up with a copper bronze belly, which is just not a whole lot of fun. So it is right now 66 degrees in the shop. I'm going to bring the temperature up a little bit with our radiant heat so that over the next 16 to 20 hours this paint will cure. Then we will apply a second coat. You do not sand between coats with this paint. It will level out nicely and get quite uniform. And if you are really committed to bright, you steal a bunch of old newspapers and a bunch of people who will be characterized as former friends when they finish and start scrubbing this, and you can make this as bright as a brand new penny. Lots of guys who race sailboats do that, not realizing that 5 minutes after the boat hits the water, all that sheen is gone. But be that as it may, it is very pretty when it is just painted. So we'll keep working. I'll keep working. My guys kind of balked at the notion of working 7 days this week, so 6 was enough. We'll keep applying the Pettit copper bronze hard racing enamel bottom paint to her bottom. We'll get a second coat on sometime tomorrow. And then, because she's going to be with us for several months, probably until early spring, before we together with her owner decide what the next steps will be and who will take those steps, we won't apply the last coat. We'll wait until everything else is done, and at that time apply a third coat to her. Well, we almost completed one lot. Just about have the entire bottom covered with its first coat of hard racing copper bronze bottom paint. This is not an ablative paint. This bottom paint is strictly for vessels that are dry sailed. In other words, pull it out of the garage or wherever, barn, shed, you name it. Drop it in the water, enjoy it, and then put her back on the trailer and back on dry land. This paint will not survive endless submersion in water. Now, I don't know if it's, let's see if we can pan in a little bit here. That's the limit of my little flip camera. I don't know if you can see these roller marks here. That's from applying the paint across the grain. This paint is very, very thin, and it runs quite easily. Not so much back here, but up in the bow area, it will tend to curtain on you. So what I do is a last step, and I'm not saying it's right, I'm saying it's just the way I do it. Others may have other solutions. I just roll, you see, I'm almost cradling the handle in my fingers. I'm not putting any weight or pressure on the paint. I'm just letting the roller roll across the surface, and in so doing, I get rid of all of those nasty spots. Now, Here's an area where, when I started out, I didn't quite get enough paint on here. So, that's not a bad piece of work for Sunday. Now I can go in and watch basketball. Our 1956 17-foot Chris Craft Special Sportsman is within 2 coats of completing her transition from a worn out, rotted out, failed traditional bottom to a brand new, super strong, true 5200 bottom. We basically replaced all the framing ahead of the firewall, a big chunk of the keel, the stem, but she is strong. Now those of you, and I get this question a lot, those of you who show your boats at ACBS sanctioned shows, ACBS judge shows, know that a 5200 bottom on your boat will not cost you points, because the ACBS has ruled that so doing is a safety factor. It makes the boat safer, less likely to sink, much stronger. So you will not be docked points if you have a true 5200 bottom put on your boat. And know that this Special Sportsman's owners, as long as they keep the bottom paint on, keep it fresh every other year, put a coat or 2 on, they should have a bottom that's absolutely watertight for literally decades to come. And with that, we'll end this update. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now from Snake Mountain Boatworks.